Welcome to the latest episode of Mayor Brown's Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations with Michael Levy and Andrew Olmem, our weekly 3 to 5 minute perspectives for in-house counsel and government affairs executives on the most important and challenging issues surrounding congressional investigations. I'm Michael Levy, a white-collar defense lawyer, and I'm joined by my partner, Andrew Olmem, former Republican chief counsel on the Senate Banking Committee. Today, we're going to take a look at one particular aspect of most congressional investigations, the congressional hearing. For most people, it's the only part of a congressional investigation that they'll ever see. And for most clients, it's far and away the most harrowing. But congressional hearings are unlike any other hearings most lawyers ever encounter. They definitely are not like courtroom hearings before judges or hearings before regulatory bodies. Andrew, let's talk a little bit about what makes a congressional hearing different.
Yeah, Michael, the differences between a congressional hearing and a judicial hearing couldn't be more different. They couldn't be more different. You know, and from my experience, I'm always amazed at how attorneys often approach congressional hearings as if they're going into court. You know, as you know, Michael, having spent time in both forums, they really are different animals. And it's really important to understand the key differences. One of the first differences is just the entire format. In a congressional hearing, the chairman begins the hearing with an opening statement, usually around 5 minutes. Then the ranking member, the senior member of the other party that's not in the majority, of the minority party, is then given an opportunity to make a similar opening statement. Sometimes the other members of the committee are also allowed to make opening statements, and then the witnesses are allowed to make statements, usually about 5 minutes. Then each member of the committee is given an opportunity to ask the questions of the witnesses. Usually they're allotted about 5 minutes, and sometimes there'll be a second round depending on the interest from the members. You know, that right there shows you how different just the format and structure of a hearing is compared to a kind of courtroom trial. You know, in a courtroom trial, also you have rules. You have the rules of evidence. Most courts have particular rules on motions and how they want to proceed. There are none of that in a congressional hearing. There's no rules of evidence. Members can make any claims and statements they wish. They can enter any information and material they would like into the official hearing transcripts, and the witnesses have no ability to object, unlike in a judicial hearing. There's also no guarantee that a witness can respond to statements or allegations made by members. Indeed, oftentimes members use all of their time to make a statement, providing a witness with no opportunity to rebut any assertions. You know, from this description, you can also see another big difference. There is no judge. This has significant implications. The chair of the committee presides over the hearing, but the chair, unlike a judge, is not there to be a neutral arbiter. On the contrary, the chair is usually driving the hearing, has a particular viewpoint that he or she wants the public to take away from the hearing, and wants to establish based on the evidence presented at the hearing. In addition, not only do you have the chair having a view, but each member of the committee will likely have their own views. Now, oftentimes, the majority will stick together with the chair and work together to have a line of questioning that supports where the chair wants to go, but not always. And then you have the minority, who oftentimes will take an entirely different view of the hearing, and so oftentimes they'll be antagonistic. So you can see the witness kind of caught in the crossfire of these range of questions. The questioning also can be incredibly intense and a real endurance exercise, because the committees have as many as 60 members, like a House Financial Services. You have 60 members answering questions. Even House Oversight, which does the most of the congressional hearings for investigations, still has more than 40 members. That means you could be there all day as a witness answering questions from members. And
the members get to walk out and go to the restroom and take care of other stuff.
They come in and do their 5 minutes and leave. Meanwhile, the witness is there. It can be very grueling. The endurance issue maybe that might be a whole other subject for another episode, is how to endure a congressional hearing. What it also means, really practically, is the witness is on their own. It really needs special preparation to make sure that they protect their rights and make sure that their story and their line belief of what happened in the situation that's the subject of the investigation is accurately portrayed. And that gets to one last big difference, which is media. The media coverage of a congressional hearing is entirely different from what you would see in a judicial hearing, starting with the fact that there are cameras at the congressional hearing, often multiple and oftentimes broadcast live on national television. But media strategies is probably best left to another episode for kind of particular and specific treatment.
Yeah, no, Andrew, you couldn't be more right. The differences between a courtroom hearing or a trial and a congressional hearing are vast. They're really completely different animals. Having tried lots of cases in courtrooms and also having done lots of representation of clients in congressional investigations, they're really different. You have to prepare completely differently for them. Congressional investigations fundamentally are political theater. They're designed to get the members on TV to prove their political points. Whereas, at least in theory, a trial and a judicial hearing are designed to get to the truth, and the rules and the structure of it are designed that way. Whereas the structure of a congressional hearing is really designed to get members on television. That's why sometimes they ask questions without getting answers.
Again, I'll take a more benign view of what Congress is trying to do, which is Congress is trying to persuade the public on a particular issue, usually, in favor of, a piece of legislation or policy that they like to see enacted, and using that spotlight of a congressional hearing as a way to really educate the public from their perspective and persuade them that they have the right policy and that's a policy they should support. And as you correctly point out, the spotlight that a congressional hearing can bring is unlike anything else available in the federal government.
Yeah, no, it's very clear. It's a question of how they use the political theater, I think. But in any event, as you can see, they are very different animals. So we are very glad that you joined us for this week's episode of Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations. If you have any questions, please email us, and thanks for joining us.